here. I just got married this summer, so my wife and I have been enjoying BG a lot since we moved here, but excited to be a part of the program, excited to get around these coaches and these players. Thought spring went really well, just kind of implementing not only myself, but a few other new offensive coaches, just getting to know each other, trying to gel with the guys that are here, and really with some of the new guys too. So I'm excited for this opportunity. Our staff is excited for this opportunity. I think we got some really good players and a good team, and I'm excited about tomorrow, get going, and just get better every single day. So with that, open it up to you guys.
Yeah, kind of incorporating your offense. How's that situation going? How's the installation?
It's been good. I think Coach touched on it a little bit. You know, when him and I sat down for my initial interview, and we were just kind of talking about what we wanted the offense to look like, you know, I think my words to him were I would be an idiot if I looked at the body of work over the last 2 years and say, you know, we got to wholesale change into something different. You know, Western Kentucky's been really successful with offensive football for a long time, and especially over the last 2 years. So it's just been my job was come in, look at what we do really well, how can we improve on that, and then where are the areas that we can improve on as far as maybe something that I can bring to the table is in scheme or different tweaks and variations off of what we already do. So it's not a wholesale change, but it's been a good fusion of kind of those different ideas that we think could help us win ball games.
Have you had any pushback at all? Because obviously these guys were really successful doing what they were doing. There might be a tendency to want to just keep doing that. How do you kind of solve what you want to do?
Yeah, no, there hadn't been any pushback at all, really. And spring was really big for us, and Coach was awesome about that in terms of, you know, he kind of handed me the keys and said, hey, you know, do what you want to do and push the limits of kind of what we think we can do as a team and as an offense, and we'll see what works. Kind of the old philosophy of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, but we know who we are, you know, core principles wise and what we want to be, and mainly my job was just finding tweaks off of that and see how we can improve. And I've always believed this: football is a game of, you know, your players, right? It's getting them in the right positions. It's players. It's not plays. So I can come up with the best ideas on a whiteboard I can, but if it doesn't maximize our skill set at every single position, not only from the quarterback but to the offensive line, we're not going to be very successful. So we've got some good players. We got to distribute the football to all of them, but we've got some good ideas and obviously things we've done over the past 2 years that have helped us be successful, and we're going to keep doing those things for sure.
Coach, no secret that it's an air raid offense, but how important is it to have a successful running game in the air raid offense, and how's the running game been so far for you?
It's very important. I've been around some teams over the past 5, 6, 7 years where we won games throwing the ball 70 times, and we've lost games throwing the ball 70 times. And I just think back to those losses. If we had been a little more dynamic in the run game, we wouldn't have been feeling so bad afterwards. But you got to find the balance, and I come by this honestly. To me, balance isn't necessarily being 50-50. It's finding your best players, giving them the football, how many times those guys touch the football. That's balance to me. So, but obviously running the football is very important, and we got to find a way to maximize running the football, being really successful when we got to get those tough yards, opening up shots down the field, opening up our pass game, because we're not going to be any success. We're not going to be successful at all letting people just drop 8 or 9 people into coverage and trying to bang our heads against the wall. But we've got a really good set of running backs, I think, that could step out there. Any 4 of them really right now step out there and be the guy that we can hand it off to and get us those tough yards and really help us in the pass game as well. But yeah, that's a huge important piece of who we are and our identity. And being really good in the run game is going to help us down the field as well.
Coach, how's it been building that relationship with Austin?
Been really good. I told him when I first met him, and this is true, when we were at Mississippi State, we were always constantly looking for good offenses and good players to get ideas from, and lo and behold, Western Kentucky's tape always ends up coming up first. So I knew about Austin before I met him, had a really great respect for his game. In the body of work, really his whole career coming from Division II. I worked in Division II for a while and knew a lot about West Florida and how good the program was there, and he was a big part of that. But getting here to actually get to know him, get to coach him, great human being, cares about his teammates, and I think those first two things are important for quarterbacks, obviously, being a good person, tough, hard-nosed, caring about your teammates. Guys kind of gravitate towards him, and then student of the game, too. I mean, the guy knows football, constantly wants to learn, constantly wants to get better, and then he's ultra talented as well. So I'm very fortunate to be able to coach him. And I told him again from day one, it's my job to make you better, work on what I think you need to work on, and hopefully this relationship helps take our team to the next level.
Coach, last year it was a deep receiver room. We used guys like Dave Wood, Jalen, and Josh. When it comes to that next man mentality, how's that been going?
Yeah, and I think that's it, right? Is next man up. I have a ton of respect for those guys that were here last year and the things that they did on the field, and going to be hard to replace. But I think we've recruited some guys that will be able to help pick up kind of the slack in that production. But I'm excited about some of the new guys. You got Jimmy Holiday, Blue Smith, you got Dalvin coming back, Mike Matheson, obviously Malachi's a real big in the room, but we've got a bunch of guys in that room that we feel like helped replace some of that depth. I feel really good about how we are, going ones and twos from all receiver position. But you can't. It's hard to replace good players, but the big part of this game is finding other good players too. And I think we did that. Hats off to the whole staff really with that. But I'm excited about that room again, and I think you'll see that once we get the season started, that those guys are ready to pick up the slack and kind of carry on the torch for sure.
Where does the tight end spot fit in with your offense? Is that something that you guys utilize a lot, or are you going to kind of, is that more of a blocking position? How do you use that?
Yeah, if you watched Washington State and Mississippi State over the last 7 years, you probably didn't see a tight end very much. But I grew up a coach's kid. My dad was a tight ends coach for 10 years. So I'm not new to the position, and I'm not new to understanding how important that position is, and especially within the bounds of our offense and kind of what we ask those guys to do. Obviously, last year there were two really good ones that we have to replace, no longer here, but I think the guys that we have with River and Trevor being the first two that names come to mind in that room, we're not going to be strangers to putting tight ends on the field and being able to use them and maximize their talents and skill sets, but it is important, and I think you have to play with a really good tight end, and not only one but two to be able to be successful in this game, because you got to create gaps and you got to create problems with defenses and being gap sound, and the tight end provides you that. So we're always looking for ways to get those guys on the field, and like I said earlier, spread the ball around and make defenses play sideline to sideline.
Can you kind of characterize what you need out of an offensive line too? Obviously, you got quite a bit of experience back, but what skill set do they need to really be successful in their offense?
We've always said it's a fast league. I've always thought this. I played in this league. I've played around some really good players, been around some really good defensive lines, not only from my playing career, but, being in the SEC and the Pac-12, that's kind of where the game starts, right? Starts up front. So you got to have some big athletic linemen that can move in the pass game. We're going to ask those guys to get out on screens. We're going to ask those guys to down block, pull around, block power, inside zone. So they got to be one, got to be super tough. They got to be smart, be able to see it on the fly and be able to block all the different looks. And then, Coach touched on this earlier. I think what helps our O-line, in my opinion, is we see some crazy stuff every single day from our defense. So one of my favorite sayings I tell our guys all the time is it's better for us to learn in-house and not on the street from different defenses. So we gain the advantage that way, but we've got some good players up front. It starts with our center, Vinny. Obviously, you got Tick and Mark and both Wes's, that I think have played a bunch of football around here that help us out. But again, all of those guys, tough, nasty, athletic O-linemen, and that's where it starts, and we got to continue that.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.